Everyone thinks AI companies are unstoppable forces of pure confidence. But the truth is, they're now publicly begging people not to be afraid of what they've built. Just weeks ago, two of the most powerful AI companies on the planet, OpenAI and Anthropic, shifted from championing a technological revolution to actively trying to calm a frightened public. This is not a minor PR pivot. This is a fundamental crack in the story Silicon Valley has been telling the world. Here's everything you need to know. For the last several years, AI companies have operated on a single playbook: hype the technology as hard as possible, attract billions in investment, and let the promise of world-changing software do the rest. OpenAI called GPT-4 a reasoning engine that could transform every industry. Anthropic positioned Claude as a safer, more aligned alternative, but still described it as a system capable of outperforming humans across a wide range of tasks. The message from both companies was the same: AI is coming, it is inevitable, and it will change everything. And it worked. Funding poured in, valuations soared, the public paid attention. But something shifted. Public surveys throughout late 2025 and early 2026 began showing a consistent pattern. Anxiety about AI was rising faster than enthusiasm. People were not worried about science fiction scenarios involving sentient machines. They were worried about something far more immediate and personal: their jobs, their wages, their economic futures. Polls showed majorities of Americans believed AI would reduce job opportunities within the next 5 years. Trust in AI companies, already fragile, began to erode further as layoffs at major corporations were attributed directly to automation. The hype had worked too well, and now the fear was spreading faster than the companies could contain it. In response, OpenAI this week released what it described as a policy framework, essentially a wish list directed at lawmakers and the public, centered on addressing job displacement and economic inequality driven by artificial intelligence. The document acknowledges, for the first time in such direct terms from the company, that AI poses real risks to workers and that those risks require deliberate policy intervention. Among the proposals, federal support for workforce retraining programs, expanded access to AI tools for lower-income communities, and calls for collaboration between government and industry to manage the economic transition. Anthropic, meanwhile, published its own public-facing communications, emphasizing safety, alignment research, and what it called responsible scaling. Language clearly designed to reassure rather than excite. Analysts are reading these moves with a mixture of relief and skepticism. On one hand, the acknowledgement that AI could cause economic harm is a significant departure from the relentless optimism that has defined the industry's public messaging. On the other hand, critics note that both companies are still primarily asking governments to solve problems that the companies themselves created and profited from. There is a growing argument that self-regulation and policy wish lists are insufficient responses to structural economic disruption at this scale. Independent economists have pointed out that workforce retraining programs historically have mixed results, particularly for older workers displaced from mid-skill jobs, exactly the demographic most vulnerable to AI-driven automation. The broader impact of this shift in tone should not be underestimated. When the companies building the most powerful AI systems in the world begin publicly acknowledging potential harm, it changes the political landscape. Regulators in Washington and in Brussels who were already moving toward AI oversight now have rhetorical cover and arguably an obligation to accelerate that work. Investors, who have poured hundreds of billions of dollars into AI infrastructure, are watching carefully to see whether increased scrutiny translates into slower deployment timelines or tighter product restrictions. What should you watch next? Keep your eyes on congressional hearings over the next 60 days, where both OpenAI and Anthropic executives are expected to testify. Watch for whether the policy proposals they've outlined gain any traction in legislative language.